In my work life, I have had lots of fancy titles. I have been called dean, professor, director, chief. I am somewhere close to or maybe just beyond retirement age. I'll let you do the math. I have a house, a car. I go on wonderful vacations and I love every trip that I've ever had down to South America. I have lots of friends and I have a wonderful family. About 5 years ago, I drove my car up into a gas pump that was at a convenience store. After I pumped gas, I went inside the store. All right, now here's another truth about me. I love Snickers bars candy. And any chance that I get, I always go and buy one. All right, so I went in the store, I got my Snickers bar, I'm beginning to leave the store, and in the store, there were two police officers that came in. They were two white young men in their mid-20s, probably. I saw them and I just moved faster toward the door. As I put my hand on the door to open it, I heard, "Hello?" Now, I was the only person in the store, but I wasn't certain that I actually had heard them say this, and I just continued to move on. And then he said it again, "Hello?" And I recognized he was talking to me. My heart rate began to go up a little bit. Why is he talking to me? What did I do wrong? Did I actually pay for that Snickers bar? And then just as fast as my hand was on that bar, I started remembering a whole bunch of stories in my life. Decades and decades ago, when my own parents said to us, my brother and me, "If you are around the police, be careful." I also remembered when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, my mother and I were in a store, and I said to my mother, "I'm thirsty." And she said, "You can wait." And I said it to her again, "I am thirsty." And she said, "You can wait." Now, this made no sense to me because right in front of me, there were two water fountains. They were right next to each other. And above each one of them, there was a sign. There was a sign that said white over one and a sign that said colored over the other. And right next to those water fountains, there was a white policeman that was standing there. My mother looked at the water fountains, she looked at the signs, she looked at the police officer, she looked at me, and she said, "No, you can wait." At that time, whenever we went on a family trip, my mother always packed food and she packed a thermos of water. She packed water because she never wanted us to have the experience of needing to drink from the colored water fountain, because the colored water fountain was always dirty and rusty, as opposed to the white water fountain, which was clean and shiny. My mother reacted to the water fountains and she reacted to the policeman because she knew how that policeman might act if her son, me, went to the wrong water fountain and drank out of it. As I found myself still standing in that store holding onto that handlebar, I was not certain about what was going to happen, but I was finding that my heart rate was increasing. I turned around very slowly. I acknowledged him, and he said to me, "Is your name Harold Cox?" This pushed me even further. My heart rate went even higher. I was beginning to think, how does he know my name? And then he said to me, "My mother used to work in the same office that you did, and my name is John Thomas." And then instantly, I remembered this kid. I remembered when he used to come to our office. He was, I don't know, maybe 11, 12, 13 years old. He used to come like lots of other kids. Truth is, I don't remember that much about him, but his mother used to always talk about him. So I felt like I knew him very well. And now I'm having to struggle with trying to remember John, the kid, and John, the man, who is now a police officer. I have been taught in my life to be cautious about police officers. And this is just not working for me so well. And at that moment, we began to have a very awkward conversation. He wanted to know more about what I was doing. I asked him about his mother. And the whole time I was just thinking, I want to leave. And eventually I did. I went back out to my car and I continued to think about this very strange conversation that I had just had. And now, 5 years later, I am still thinking about that conversation. And I hope that someday, seriously, I hope someday I will be able to have a conversation with John where I get to say what happened to me as a Black man with lots of fancy titles and a lot of gray hair. What happened to me when I felt nervous and a little panicky in being around a white police officer? Because in the 21st century, it makes no sense that anybody would feel angst about buying a Snickers bar.